Hi, cat. Come and get some mango, baby.
One, two, 1, 2, 3. Self-awareness is a superpower. My name is KathyLaDonna. Welcome to Soul and Vibration. I hope the free thinkers are doing well. And if you're not doing well, I'm happy to remind you that you are the most powerful person that you know. You are the most powerful person that you know because only you can create your reality. Hey guys, today is Monday, Moon Day, January 27th, and the energies in the day adds up or reduced to number 1 vibration. If today is your birthday, happy birthday. The spirit guidance for today is the raccoon energy. So with the raccoon coming out as a spirit guidance, it brings me to the importance of, so with the raccoon energy and just looking at it, I think of someone holding back, whether they're holding back what it is that they have to say, holding back what it is that they think. It brings me to holding back. It brings me to being timid. It brings me to being fearful. And the question is, what are you afraid of exactly if that is the case? Say for someone might be dealing with something today and there's fears or concerns around speaking up and sharing one's truth pertaining to something. Like this energy here is bringing me to like the day being the 27th. And with the day being the 27th, the number 2 is a nurturing energy. The number 7 is introspective, but 2 plus 7 gives us the number 9. And the number 9 is a number that would kind of remind me of this in the sense that I think of the number 9 energy being more of a chameleon energy where we try to blend in the background when it comes to something. We try not to stand out too much not try to stand out too much, because I think of when it comes to standing out, how dangerous that can be in a lot of situations. So, but with the raccoon energy though, I'm going to take back a lot of what I just said. When it comes to the raccoon energy, I don't know, I feel conflicted. So I'll share both sides of what I'm thinking. So with the raccoon energy, it brings me to playing it safe today about something. Playing it safe about something. Not needing to be the first, not needing to be the one to initiate something. What comes to mind with this raccoon energy, I think of when I used to be a CNA. And I remember once me and a few CNAs, we were talking about how, the issues that was happening in the facility. And we're getting ready to have a meeting later that day with the DON. And everybody is talking about the issues and how they can't stand this and they can't stand that. And me, like the silly rabbit in the meeting, had the nerve to stand up and start listing out all the problems with the place and even call out one of the nurses. And that nurse tried to get me fired, but it didn't work because I went into this patient's room to answer the call light or whatever. And I assist the patient and then I left. And this nurse tried to say that I unplugged the patient's oxygen tank. But thank goodness, the lady that I went to assist in the room, it was a room where there were 2 beds, and she's in the bed against the wall, but she walks perfectly. But she stands out to me because whenever she walked, you could hear every single joint in her body snap. And she was very alert and with it. And the nurse said that I came in and went to that side and plugged out the oxygen tank. And when they did the investigation, that patient said when I came in, I only came over to her and assist her and whatnot. So I end up not getting fired, but then instead I asked to be transferred from that unit. And I even went to the DON and I'm like, you encourage us to speak up in these meetings. And I spoke up and now, this happened and immediately, whatever I was complaining about. But it's like, I did that a few other times in the future, not in that same space, but like speaking up before it clicked to me that in some places, in most places, in all places, the culture of the place, the energy of the place is a reflection of whoever is in charge. Hands down. Whoever's in charge. If you walk into a salon and the people that work there are messy and gossipy and just nasty, the owner got something going on. The owner. It starts at the top. I feel like whoever is in charge sets the tone in an environment. And I feel like it goes the same thing in a household. Whoever is in charge sets the tone. And I know there's going to be some people who disagree and whatnot. And I mean, accountability is a hell of a thing. But whoever is in charge sets the tone. Sets the tone. So a lot of the times you walk into certain environments and they might have meetings acting like, they're trying to make things better, but whoever is in charge is set in their ways. And if they, have a lack of accountability, they're going to blame things being the way it is on the staffs, the members, the team, the family, whoever, when they're the ones setting the tone. And because they can't see themselves to change, instead it's easy to blame it on everyone else when they're setting the tone. When they're setting the tone. I think it's wild to me when a person, for whatever reason, assumes that they should be in charge of leading others. I feel like a good leader doesn't have to ask to lead. A good leader, people ask a good leader to follow them because a good leader leads by example. But I find that people who take it upon themselves and feel like I need to lead, I need to be a leader, often is coming from a place of ego and probably isn't even equipped to lead because they're going based off this egoic image in their mind. And in all reality, if they were leading themselves, then they would be leading by example and people would ask them to lead and want to follow. So I feel like great leaders are people who will work at a job and then say other people, maybe certain bosses or whatever, will look at them and automatically like put them in some kind of an authoritative position because they naturally are good leaders. But, then you have some of us where, we aspire to lead because we want to compensate for something that we're short of within ourselves. And in all reality, we make a mess of a place, make a mess of a thing because, if we can't fully see ourselves, then we can't make the changes that we need in ourselves to be a good example to the people who are following. So this energy here would bring me to, don't be like me. Like you're a part of this, environment and they say speak up when really, if you speak up, you speaking up will only be speaking on their lack of leadership. And instead of making corrections for their lack of leadership, they will just try to make a correction and take you out the picture. Because, it's easier to say this place is the way it is because of them. This place is the way it is because this, that, or the next. No, it's the way it is because of whoever is in charge and they are setting the tone, the energy, and the example. So when it comes to today's energy, this energy here, normally I'll say, no, get out the dark. The raccoon is hiding in the dark and it's wearing a mask and whatnot. But in most cases, when it comes to today, it brings me to taking a step back. Take a step back when it comes to a situation and take a step back. Take a step back when it comes to certain situation that you might be dealing with. Because I think how sometimes, or most times, people will ask for feedback, but it's not feedback they want. They want praise and validation. And once they're not getting the praise and the validation, then it turns into a debate. And it's like, why are we debating here when you're the one who asked? Why are we debating when you ask? Let's pause for a bit. I am proud of the services that I offer and excited to tell you about them. If it would be your first time booking with me, then I recommend the natal chart and numerology awareness coaching session. For a while, that was the only service I offered, along with the 30 minutes tarot reading, which is still available if you're interested. I noticed the pattern. At the end of the natal chart and numerology coaching sessions, some of you would ask me for a follow-up service options for additional clarity and guidance to assist you with whatever you're going through at the moment. I kept saying, I'll look into it. I don't know why it took me so long. Finally, I have created that option along with the service option to book a solar return chart reading for those of you who are strategic and like to plan ahead. Everything you need to know is within the description box below. Let's get back into the video. So with the raccoon energy coming out for today's message, for someone when it comes to a work environment, or it could even be a family situation, it's like, you know, sometimes a thought that crossed my mind recently is when it comes to certain things, it just doesn't hurt to play along. When it comes to certain things, it just doesn't hurt to play along. I guess it goes back to that saying, you know, you pick your battles wisely type of vibe. And with certain battles, they're just not worth fighting. An example of that I'll give is, and it kind of ties into what I was saying about like the whole leader thing and people making changes in an environment and or influencing the environment. So I think of sometimes like we'll have certain people within our lives. And when it comes to these people in our lives, I was in a deep thought the other day and I was thinking like, imagine if this is the Matrix. There are certain people in our lives that are agents within the Matrix. And these could be family members. It could be your dad. It could be your mom, your aunt, your grandma, whoever. Like it could be anyone. And I was thinking to myself the other day and how to know sometimes if in fact someone is an agent in the Matrix. And for me, when I think of an agent in the Matrix, the energy of that would remind, to me, is equivalent to like a narcissist. And the word narcissist is thrown around. It's like most people think someone's a narcissist because they don't get their way with that person or they had a bad run-in. But I don't see it that way. I feel like when it comes to narcissists, what I call a true narcissist is a person who lacks empathy. Like we all are on that spectrum of narcissism. And I feel like the people who lack empathy are, you know, are true narcissistic people. And when a person lacks empathy, they're dangerous because they can't truly feel. They only know how to pretend to be what something looked like it would feel like. You know, they know how to pretend to be sympathetic, or maybe they could be sympathetic because in some way what's happening would remind them of themselves, but the sympathy is not extended to you. It's always focused on them. When I think of like, say, a person who's truly narcissistic or AKA an agent in the Matrix, I personally believe that within that person, because of the extreme shame and negative emotions that they are constantly experiencing, there are certain entities that feed on them. Some might say demonic entities that feed on them. And once you can spot like the characteristics of this kind of person, you'll realize that there's nothing creative about it. Like once you see it in one, you'll see it in everyone who shares, who is that, who is an agent in the Matrix. Or some might say is it an NPC player or whatever? I'm not sure how the exact saying for that. But anyways, to me, the way you could tell when you're dealing with this kind of person is whenever you guys have a conversation about a serious matter and you might voice certain challenges or complaints or certain things to them. I feel like a person who is empathetic will hear what you're saying and being able to feel where you're coming from, they will be able to reflect, because I feel like in order for us to even make changes, we have to be able to reflect and take accountability. And I feel like agents in the matrix or narcissistic people can't take accountability because they can't see themselves. They can't reflect. If they don't have empathy, because I feel like empathy helps us to reflect, because with empathy helping us to reflect, we're able to see ourselves in everything, everyone, and make changes within ourselves, where there are some people that's like, nope, I'm not like them, I'm different. Like, there's no reflecting. And I feel like empathy is also required in order to take accountability. And I feel like narcissistic people or agents in the matrix can't take accountability. And because they can't take accountability, that's where they'll keep having the same thing happening over and over and over again, but it's always someone else's fault. But back to what I was saying about having a real conversation with this kind of person, you could tell when you're dealing with the agent or the narcissistic person, because y'all might have a heart-to-heart about something. And during the heart-to-heart, you could feel that you're the only one having an heart-to-heart, as you don't feel the energy flowing. And you could just feel that they don't get you or they can't hear you. But a clear way to tell for me is you'll voice something, share something, and instead of them consciously working on creating balance when it comes to the thing you share, they'll just try to be more clever or manipulative, because they can't see themselves or their role in a thing anyways in order to make sustainable real change. So instead, they'll just try to be more crafty, more clever, more manipulative. It's like being in the relationship or even having the family member and you voice certain complaints, and in the, like, not too long after voicing it, if you're observant, you could see them kind of walking on eggshells around you, because they're not sure how to, they never even received what it is that you said or have the ability to reflect to make the proper changes anyways. So in the beginning, after you saying what you said, they'll be on their best behavior. And that's where some people will talk about the whole love bombing and things like that, because they're trying to make things right again, opposed to just addressing the things that you guys talked about, creating the balance. Instead, they'll probably, maybe take a step back and come in with the love bomb, or try to be extra nice and tiptoe and figure out all the good things they could do, and then eventually go back to doing exactly what it is that you guys talked about that they wouldn't do in the first place, because they lack the ability to change. They lack the ability to change. They lack the ability to see themselves, to see their role, to make proper changes. So yeah, I was reflecting to myself and I'm like, wow, like, that's a clear sign of an agent in the matrix, a person who completely lacks the ability to change. And a person will lack the ability to change because they lack reflection. They lack true empathy. Like, a person could fake empathy, but they lack true empathy. They lack the ability to take accountability, because in order to make any kind of change, it first starts with taking accountability. And some people see the word being accountable as in taking all the blame, it's your fault. No. To me, accountability is recognizing my role in a thing. My role could be as simple as not picking up the phone. I should have never picked up the phone. I knew not to pick up the phone. It's 3:00 in the morning and they're calling. I told them not to call. I picked up the phone. Now I'm out doing this and that and that and that, and things went crazy. And now I'm stuck with this, that, and that, and that, and that. And it's like, yes, it's all, everything went crazy because I'm dealing with this person, but I should have never picked up the phone. I knew not to pick up the phone. You know what I mean? It could be as simple as that when it comes to what was your role. Because if I knew my role in this was not picking up the phone, what am I going to do next time? Not pick up the phone. So that will not happen again. Or if we're not able to see our role in a thing, then we can't grow from it. We can't change. So to me, a lack of accountability is, to me, a perfect sign or symptom of, an agent in the matrix. a lack of accountability. A lack of accountability. And I'm not saying for a person to start, because when you're dealing with also a person like this, if they're truly this way, they'll pretend to take accountability because they think that's what you want. So they'll pretend to take accountability, but you can tell that they didn't take accountability because the follow through and the consistency with the follow through. Like I said, a lot of the times, people like this will only try to be more clever when it comes to moving around you next time. But it's just for a matter of time as they revert back to the factory setting of themselves. So when it comes to today's energy, we have the Two of Swords. And with the Two of Swords coming out in the reversal position, hopefully it reflects you having some clarity when it comes to something. And from that level of clarity, you're able to see your way out. And when it came to what I was saying, when it comes to certain things, it's just like, it doesn't hurt to play along. Where say if a person, you work with someone and you could tell like they're like narcissists to the full degree. You know what I mean? They completely lack empathy. Where whenever I say a narcissist, I'm speaking about a person who completely lacks empathy. Because like I said, people will throw that word around to anyone who didn't give them their way. The person broke up with them and the person broke up with them. So the person's a narcissist because they didn't want to be in a relationship with them. No. I'm speaking about someone who completely lacks empathy and is, like what I would call possessed by an entity, because I feel like, agents within the matrix are possessed within us with certain entities that feed on them. And the entities are very robotic. It's like a programming. There's nothing new about their behavior. And the only reason why they'll be able to have power or control so long in certain dynamics is because you who's dealing with them, if it is you, keeps projecting onto them. So every time when they're nice, or every time they play nice and go back to the love bombing stage of playing nice, you start to think about your fantasy of them, opposed to, realizing that the nastiness that they show you is the truth of who they are. So you should believe them the first time and stop thinking that the little niceness that you see every time they try to rope you back in is them. It's not them, that's the act. And with this energy coming out in the reversal position, it brings me to like having a breakthrough moment. It's like something clicking. And I love that these two energies come out together, because with these energies coming out together, it would bring me to like, stepping back and observing something. And for me, when I stepped back and observed, I realized that, everyone who fit the bill of being agents within the matrix, aka narcissists, it's like they're empty shells. It's like they're the tin men. It's like heartless, soulless beings, and they're embodied by these entities that feed off of the shame that they feel. So it's like they're a walking shame generator, and there are entities that are feeding off of the shame within them. And their behavior is very robotic. Their behavior is very predictable. It's always a push and pull, where it's like you pull away and now they want to pull you closer. You get closer and now they want to push away again. It's just a game. And I feel like with whatever is feeding on them, feeds on the trauma and the drama that they trigger and invoke in others. So yeah, when it comes to today's energy, like I was saying, I was going to say with the whole raccoon vibe, speaking up and stepping out. But when it comes to today's energy, like I said, what clicked for me the other day, in certain situations, it don't cost me nothing to play along. So this is where you work with this kind of person, or you live with this kind of person and you can't do better. It don't cost you nothing to play along. It's like, I think of like, you live with this person and one day you accidentally walked in the room and saw that they had their real face off, and you know what their real true self looked like. Underneath what appears to be a regular person is something else, and they don't need to know that you saw them with the mask off. like maybe say in the past you kept reminding them and bringing up and calling out and pointing out. If a person is truly this way, they're only learning to be more clever. They're only learning to be more deceptive. And like I said, it clicked for me recently that when it comes to certain things, like it don't cost you nothing to play along. So I'm talking about, you got to work with these people, or you got to live with these people, or you got to deal with these people because maybe y'all have children together, or y'all are intertwined in some way. And it's like, you already know what it is that you're dealing with. It don't cost you nothing to play along. And when I say play along, I don't mean, because in some cases, some people can't leave at the moment. They can't get away at the moment. So when I say cause you nothing to play along, they're being fake. And I'm not saying to be fake back with them, but you're cordial. You're respectful, because sometimes when it comes to certain people like this, even letting them know you're onto them could be dangerous for you as they start plotting on you, as they start turning people around you against you. So, it don't cost you nothing to play along. It don't cost you nothing to play along. So when it comes to today being Monday, Moon Day, the moon is in Capricorn. And with the moon in Capricorn, Mercury enters into Aquarius today. So Mercury is the mind, and the mind entered into a space where it's focused on connections, friend groups, and things like that. But the mind is also in a space where we might have a hard time being focused. We might have a hard time focusing our attention on one thing as Mercury is in Aquarius, and instead find our mind and attention going from one extreme to the next. And while Mercury conjuncts Pluto, it'll almost also have like a little bit of a Scorpio flair to it, where we could find ourselves feeling really possessive or controlling when it comes to like the thoughts we're thinking, and wanting to be possessive and more in control of things, different things in our lives, wherever this is showing up for you. But Mercury and the moon is being opposed by Mars in Cancer. And with Mars in Cancer energy, in this moment, it will bring me to this. You know what I mean? Like, you see what you see, and everybody don't even know you saw what you saw. And it took me so long to get to this point. Boy, like I told you with the situation at the nursing home and getting, almost getting, is it framed? Almost getting like, putting something, trying to get me in trouble for something. And thank God that lady in the corner with the crackly bones, like she was able to like save me, say no, she didn't do that. She only came in and addressed this side. She wasn't on that side of the room. And it's like, thank goodness for her. And then after that, I went to other places and spoke up again, and realized that every time I spoke up, it made me, it put a target on my back. So, this would bring me to Mars in Cancer, where Mars in Cancer energy, it brings me to someone seeing something and you didn't even know that they saw what they saw. And in some cases, like I said, saying what you saw in certain situations is just not necessary. It's just not beneficial. So it's like me working in certain places and seeing it's a hot mess. You know what I mean? It's like, if I only knew better, I would have just kept my mouth shut, because clearly it's a hot mess, because who's in charge is a hot mess. And to call out the mess is calling them out. And instead of addressing the mess, they'll just want to cut me out the picture. So, it took me a long time. And like I told you guys in past videos, like a lot of the trouble that I got into was speaking up and speaking out. And I don't regret it, but now I'm just learning to protect my energy. Like, some things are just not worth my energy. Like I said, when it comes to, dealing with certain people, like maybe one time you might try to have a real ass conversation with them. And from the real ass conversation you had with them, you realize that it went in one ear and went out the other. And instead, they try to be more clever moving forward, and you realize that, like, okay, I'm dealing with the Tin Man or the Tin Woman or whatever. And it's like, if you guys got to deal with each other moving forward because of your circumstances, then, it don't cost me nothing to play along. That's something that clicked for me recently with this Mars and Cancer energy. Like, when it comes to certain things, it don't cost you nothing to play along, because, as people, we need each other. We need each other, and we're always going to be interacting with each other, and you're always going to be interacting with a mixed bag of probably a few who have empathy and a majority who don't. And it don't cost you nothing to play along. And today being Monday, Moon Day, I mentioned Moon is in Capricorn, so the inner world is in a space where we're nurtured at the thought of, wanting to do the opposite of this maybe, because I feel like with me, it's my Saturn conjunct Mercury in my sign, like a degree apart, that will make me feel like a sense of responsibility to speak up when it comes to certain things. And it's like, now I'm selective where I speak up where I could be. I speak up where someone it wants to hear me. I speak up where a person wants to hear me, and recognize where a person don't want to hear me. They might act like they want to hear you, but they don't want to hear you. And when I say agents in the matrix and this and that, I'm not saying some people aren't people, and some of you might feel like some people aren't people. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, some of us are wired different. And, when somebody wired different, you might be expecting them to respond and engage because you're wired a certain way and they're wired different. So it's like, even though y'all communicate and you can't hear them and they can't hear you. And, sometimes you just have to accept that. So yeah, today being Monday, Moon Day, when it comes to Monday, Moon Day energy, Mondays tend to be more emotional than others, but this one feels like there's a breakthrough moment or opportunity about it. I feel like Mondays are a great day to sit and spend some time in silence, spend some time in reflection. Mondays are great for self-care and nurturing. So make sure you're, nurturing yourself in some way today, whether it's sitting in silence when it comes to your ride to work, your walk to work, or just spending some time reflecting, spending some time journaling or releasing, spending some time taking care of yourself, however you do that. It was a pleasure sharing this message with you. Before you go anywhere, please let me know you're here with me by dropping me a red heart in the comment box below. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.